Konnichiwa, minasan. Okay. Are you mostly statisticians? No, you're not statisticians. I know, but the rest of you, what kind of disciplinary background do you have? Sorry? Biostatistics. You're biostatistics. Hands up, biostatisticians. Okay, only. Oh no. Okay, 3, 4. Biostatisticians are very shy, you know. Hands up, biostatistician. There's no need to be ashamed of being a biostatistician. You can be proud. So, biostatisticians and people and people with a psychiatry background. Is that right? No? The others? Just public health. Okay. Nobody's going to say. All right. Okay. So maybe put the lights off at the front. So about 20 years ago, I got involved with an organization called the Cochrane Collaboration. Has anybody heard of the Cochrane Collaboration? Yeah? It's sort of, the idea was that if we could find all of the evidence from randomized trials and, you know, add it all together, then, you know, we'd get to, that would be the best evidence we could find, you know? And I sort of, I really sort of, I don't know, I really fell in love with this idea, right? I thought, oh, that's a great idea. You know, that's really good. Of course, if we could find all of the evidence from randomized trials. So randomized trials give the best evidence for the effectiveness of an intervention because of randomization. And if we could find all of the randomized trials, then we could reduce the effect of random error. And that would be the best evidence we could get. And I really fell in love with this idea. You know, and, you know, how many people have fallen in love here? Put your hand up. Oh, thank you, Sato. Wow, people are so shy. Well, you know what it's like. When you fall in love, you just think everything about the person that you fall in love with is really fantastic. You know, you just think, oh, they have the same taste in food and they like the same music as me. And isn't it fantastic? You know, we were absolutely meant to be together, you know? And I felt that way about the Cochrane Collaboration. And I've been married for about 20 years to the Cochrane Collaboration. And now I've fallen out of love, right? And when you fall out of love, it's really terrible, right? Because you know, I mean, like when you fall out in love with a person, you know, to start with you think they're fantastic, and then later you think all of the things about them get on your nerves, you know? Like, why do they leave the toothpaste like that, you know? Why do they leave their socks on the floor, you know, that sort of thing? So it's like that with me and the Cochrane Collaboration right now. I feel like I've been married for 20 years, and now I've fallen out of love, and we're not divorced. I'm still a part of the Cochrane Collaboration. So it hasn't got to divorce stage yet, but it might do. And I have lots of experiences, and experiences like this, right? So this was a press release from the Cochrane Collaboration, right? So it was a press release, and it said, pre-operative statin therapy reduces the odds of post-operative atrial fibrillation and shorten the patient's stay on ICU. I looked at that, I said, oh, that's just not true. That cannot be true. Why should it be true? It doesn't make any sense. So 17 trials with 2,000 patients, and look, it halves the risk of atrial fibrillation. Now statins are a drug that reduce your cholesterol, right? They reduce the cholesterol, your cholesterol in your blood. They're not an anti-arrhythmic drug. They don't have why should they have an effect on heart rhythms? Why should your cholesterol affect your risk of atrial fibrillation? So it just didn't seem right. I said, oh, that's wrong. So when I saw that, I thought, I'm sure that's wrong. And then a year later, a large randomized controlled trial with more patients than all of the patients in the review altogether showed they had no effect on atrial fibrillation. And and this is the Cochrane review here, and that's the treatment effect. So these are the trials, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 small trials. When you add them up, you get a very huge reduction in the risk of atrial fibrillation. It's like more than half reduction in the risk of atrial fibrillation. But the big trial, with 2,000 patients, shows no effect at all. And this happens all of the time with Cochrane systematic reviews. These are small trials. Look, they're 20 patients in each group, 100 patients in each group, small numbers of events. I've seen this so many times. Cochrane reviews get it wrong. And then, so I said to the Cochrane collaboration, look, probably either some of these trials are fraudulent or there's very extreme selection bias. But probably some of these trials are fraudulent. They're not randomized trials. So I asked them to look to see if they were fraudulent, and they never told me whether they were or they were not, but they withdrew the systematic review. They just said, right, okay, we'll withdraw the systematic review. And all you can find out is this review has been withdrawn. Now, really, if you get something really wrong, you should want to know why you got it wrong. Yeah? Making mistakes is the greatest opportunity, really. Because you've made a big mistake. You said they dramatically reduced the risk of postoperative atrial fibrillation, and they didn't. Let's understand why we made this mistake. And I thought, great Cochrane collaboration, let's see if we can understand why we made this mistake. But they didn't seem to want to know. They just withdrew the review. Business as usual. Let's carry on. And I was really disappointed about that, and that's one of the reasons I started to fall out of love with them.